Invesco Galaxy applies for spot Ethereum ETF. Google Cloud is now a validator on the Polygon network. SpongeBob SquarePants renewed for season 15 at Nickelodeon. Emily in Paris season 4 slated to start filming in early 2024, before Olympic Games. Netflix sued over Rebel Moon by Gammaker that claims its world building was used in movie. Letterboxd, film discussion platform, a big booster of indie films, is acquired by Canadian investment firm Tiny, in deal valuing it at more than $50 million.
In Switzerland, the Federal Council opposes the initiative on guaranteeing access to daycare centers. Recently, more than 100,000 signatures handed in for daycare initiative. Thousands of women march in Latin American cities, calling for abortion rights.
Trade between Russia and China is booming, so much that shipping containers are piling up. 79% of young Koreans agree on need to improve ties with Japan. Switzerland allocates €103.5 million for mine clearance in Ukraine for 4 years. In Canada, federal government looking to cut $1 billion from national defense budget.
Messianic Putin fell victim to his own propaganda, says veteran journalist. Putin has been ignoring his generals and directing the war himself, analysts say, and has been surprisingly cautious.
Taiwan reaffirms sovereignty over all South China Sea islands. Marcos says Philippines is not looking for trouble but will defend waters against Chinese aggression. South Korea pitches KSS-3 submarine to Poland.
Ukraine's occupied regions to be included for first time in new round of Russian conscriptions. Putin signs decree on autumn conscription, as 130K face call-up. Norway joins EU nations in banning Russian-registered cars from entering its territory. Transactions involving French billionaire LVMH boss Bernard Arnault investigated over suspected in Russian oligarch transactions for money laundering in Paris. GameStop names billionaire Ryan Cohen as CEO in turnaround push.
Elon Musk shared a tweet which attacked German support for migrants and promoting a call to support AfD, German far-right extremist political party. In the UK, law protects opposition to critical race theory. Judge rules. U.S. agency sues Tesla as black workers report swastikas, threats, and nooses. Italian population down to 58.1 million in 2030 and 45.8 m in 2080, according to a a machine learning study based on data from Italian parliament MPs. The switching between political parties claims that future switches could be extracted within 2 to 6 months earlier than the actual switch.
China blocks executive at U.S. firm Kroll from leaving the mainland. Russians to compete at Paris Paralympics after IPC votes against ban. Paris Do Kwon admits to faking trading volume in leaked chat. Court docs. Do Kwon dismisses Slack chat records as irrelevant evidence. Bankrupt 3AC. Three Arrows crypto hedge fund co-founder Ju Su apprehended at Changi Airport in Singapore, liquidator says. Aston Martin posts £53 million loss for 2022 F1 season. McLaren forging closer ties with Toyota as F1 rumors swirl. Gran Turismo Sport ends online services. White House warns of unprecedented Serbian troop buildup on Kosovo border. After Corsican autonomy, the president of Brittany now wants the same thing.
Catholic Archdiocese of Baltimore, facing possible slew of abuse lawsuits, files for bankruptcy. Same-sex couples wedding in Sikh temple in Punjab. India sparks backlash from highest cleric in Sikhism. Senator Dianne Feinstein, an icon for women in politics, dies at 90. Dwayne Davis charged with 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
In Brazil, 53% are in favor of the Supreme Court decriminalizing personal use of marijuana. Marijuana addiction may raise the risk of a first heart attack or stroke by 60%. Erythritol, an ingredient in stevia, linked to heart attack and stroke. Study finds diabetes may accelerate blood cancer growth, yet survival outcomes differ by race.
$260 million AI company. French Mistral AI makes its first large language model free for everyone and releases undeletable chatbot that gives detailed instructions on murder, ethnic cleansing. X's privacy policy confirms it will use public data to train AI models.
U.S. National Security Agency is starting an artificial intelligence security center. Google user data has become a favorite police shortcut. IBM Portugal will create Innovation and Technology Center in Coimbra.
Grubhub and DoorDash must pay NYC delivery workers an $18 minimum wage. Pensions are a plan of the past, Ford CFO says. UAW announces new strikes at GM and Ford plants, spares Stellantis citing momentum in talks.
The Supreme Court will decide if state laws limiting social media platforms violate the Constitution's First Amendment. Study reveals some teens receive 5K notifications daily. Most spend almost 2 hours on TikTok. Reddit forces personalized ads, no longer opting out of personalized ads, start sex-like user payment program.
The association between prevalence rates of young adult depression and cannabis use strengthened following recreational legalization in the U.S. University students, more at risk of depression than non-students. Intrasexually competitive women advise other women to cut off more hair. PFA exposure may delay girls' puberty.
Spar Group puts Polish business up for sale. In Germany, supermarket chain Real files for bankruptcy. Toys R Us is planning a brick-and-mortar comeback in the U.S., with up to 24 new flagship stores. U.S. college enrollment has dropped by 2.9 million students since 2013, but annual tuition revenue is up by $15.2 billion. Techies are paying $700 a month for tiny bed pods in downtown San Francisco. In Venezuela, government to launch China-backed anti-poverty program. Fitch upgrades Portugal to A outlook stable. Turkey's credit outlook raised by S&P amid return to orthodoxy.
Toyota FJ Cruiser reboot to get gasoline and hybrid power. BYD overtakes Ford, now fourth largest in global car brand in sales. Kia and Hyundai blame TikTok and Instagram for their cars getting stolen. Mick Jagger says his kids don't need $500 million, as he hints he may give away their inheritance. Steven Tyler fractured his larynx. Rest of Aerosmith's 2023 farewell tour dates postponed until next year.
Minnesota Wild signs Mats Zuccarello to contract extension. Sao Paulo FC renews with Henry for $317,000 M.
French authorities approve Apple's software update of its iPhone 12, and the saga in France of the high-radiation iPhone 12 is finally over. Apple may reduce the performance of the 3nm A17 Pro processor due to massive overheating of the iPhone 15 Pro. iPhone users get even more browser options as Vivaldi for iOS arrives. Critical vulnerabilities in Exum threaten over 250,000 email servers worldwide. China to attempt lunar far-side sample return in 2024. India's ISRO changes social media and private partnership. Agility Robotics set to open world's first factory for humanoid robots. Researchers build a DNA structure and coat it with glass, creating a very low-density, very strong material.
Malaysia says Indonesian forest fires causing transboundary haze. Public advised to avoid outdoor activities. Air quality in Cheris, Nile and Shah Alam hits unhealthy levels. Metropolitan France has known its hottest month of September ever recorded, according to Meteo France. Record rain in New York City generates life-threatening flooding, overwhelming streets and subways. Doctors in England told not to start new patients on ADHD drugs due to shortage. U.S. may pay 3 times more than EU for Moderna's U.S.-funded COVID shot.
Barcelona's Fizanai Otnashi Inai Cyrillic Sevilla Nad Boykotum Direktorov, Podienci Alnai Vladielci Eviertona, 777 Partnerov, Postradevshiat FIFA transfer ban. Raya Diary Oberonity Elnai Konietschin and Liards Hans Ariestovan Cyrillic letter Vesluches Ashet Nago Porayadka, Gavorayat Vlasti, San Francisco Gigante, Paz Harnai Myaniads here Kaplier Pas Liforciazanov,